Welcome to People and Country. You're looking well. It's a pleasure to speak with you today.
Hello, everybody.
How did you get into screenwriting?
I believe everybody has a way of storytelling and everybody has a story. My way of screenwriting matched and get due appreciation. I came to Mumbai for several other things. Then I got a chance to assist Rajbhai and getting involved in his future projects.
Is it necessary to go to film school?
What is necessary is to have the basic knowledge of how things go into screenwriting. Whether you learn it from a screenwriter or any other skilled person or any film school. Every writer has its own vision, has its own perspective of storytelling. So I think you don't need to go a film school. Whether you just need to know the technicalities.
As a writer, Atul, who or what influences your writing?
I believe everybody has a central character to a certain story. And there are thousands of stories and characters that you meet every day. Any cinema with a good narrative and the life around me influences my writing.
Was there ever a time where there needed to be a script change that you didn't really want to do, or one that you maybe thought made the whole thing better? How did you go about doing this? Tell us more about this in your own experience.
Sometimes I think you have to go through a controlled situation and work appropriately, which pushes you in writer block. But that is a test for your creativity, and somewhere it is necessary because everybody wants to work in the favor of the project. But being a writer, it is all up to your creativity, and it is all up to your creativity to take control of the script and write the best possible outcome.
During the pandemic, streaming platforms like Netflix and Amazon Prime have increased in viewership. And these platforms have provided writers with creative freedom. Tell us more about this.
What we do in web is as good as films, right? You have a story, you have enough screen time. Like films, every series has its own budget. The thing is, you can experiment with the story, its plots. You are free of stereotypes and censorships as of now. The languages can be used differently. But ultimately, it comes back to your aesthetics and sensibilities if you don't go all out by showing everything because you got all freedom for it. But yes, there is more creative freedom while working for web. But the challenge of engaging audience still persists.
Going back to shows that you've written for, like Comedy Nights and Comedy Circus. Some people don't know that it's the writers that provide the jokes and punchlines that makes these hosts look so famous or look so good. Tell us more about the writing process for these shows.
I know many people are not aware that comedy shows are also scripted. In one way, you can say that it's the writer who are responsible for the jokes and punches that have made many artists famous. But you see, a writer can only write jokes and punches. Eventually, it all depends on the screen performance of the artist. Some artists have such a great energy and performance level that makes them famous. Now about the writing process, we write in a room full of writers, comedy writers, creatives, and artists, where suggestions from everyone is acceptable.
What's next for Chukama?
I'm working on multiple projects. One is a series based on unexpected events and experiences that happens during lockdown. Every story is a standalone in this series. Also, I'm working on a film based on real characters from the underworld. And then I'm working on a biopic of a worldwide famous Indian personality.
Today, you're doing a masterclass with us. Today, you're going to share with us tips for screenwriting for TV shows, as well as web and film. Please go ahead.
Look, TV writing and film writing are similar when we look from afar. But we get into writing, you'll see more and more differences between them. TV episodes are either 30 minutes or 60 minutes long with commercial ads. Okay, so writing for TV results in fewer pages and takes less time for short run. But in long run, TV writing takes more time. And in films, you can say films are restricted by time in a way. But TV and web isn't. Web has episodic structures that should lead to some sort of culmination at the end of every episode. You can create plot structures from character arcs while writing for web series, right? TV writing is very collaborative. Many writer influences the story and the point plots inside of it, right? In TV, we don't have that much creative freedom and cinematic freedom, but in web, we have all of that. Web is a mixture of TV and films. When a producer options a film, the screenwriter loses any right to approve or object to changes that the director, producer, or the actors may want to make. Right. Hmm. In TV or a web show, you need to lock the audience by the end of each episode, but in film, it isn't. So there is a slight difference between each platform of writing. But nowadays, web web is more comfortable for many screenwriters because we got liberty, as I said earlier. A film has you can also say a film has a 3-act structure, while the web and TV has 8 to 10 act structures. I think you got it right.
Can we take any comments and questions at this point?
Yes.
Do you suffer from writer's block? And if so, what's your solution?
If I suffer from writer's block, I typically changes the thing I'm working on. I switch to next project.
Okay. So you just switch over. And do you ever come back?
I just switch over.
Do you come back to it at a later?
I come back when I feel into it.
Mm-hmm.
After some time, after a day, or after 2 days, whenever you think you can crack that story after that.
Mm-hmm. And here's an interesting question. What was it like working with Sohail Khan?
Working with Sohail Khan, he's such a great guy. Working with Sohail Khan and team is like working with with a team of people of like-minded. They are very friendly.
So it was really easy to work with him and share
It was
ideas.
a nice experience working with them.
Okay. Is it hard to accept other people's ideas when you're collaborating with other writers?
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. But as I said earlier, ultimately it's up to the writer to take the creative freedom or how things go on.
Mm-hmm. And here's another question. How long have you been writing for?
I've been writing from 6 years.
6 years. What's the most difficult thing you've written?
I've not got such into a situation like that.
You're lucky. Let's hope you never do.
As a writer, I'm open for everything.
That's
I
a
get
good
into
attitude.
everything I receive.
A question about how are every writer like-minded? Because obviously there's so many creatives in the room and everyone thinks so freely, so differently. How do you find that people are like-minded? Is it in terms of the goals that you have to reach at the end of the session? Or
At the end of the session, we decide mutually. When we write into groups, we decide mutually what's into the favor of the project, and then we go according to it.
Mm-hmm.
We
Okay.
just stick to the main plot and main characters.
And here's a question. Where do you get your inspirational ideas from?
I get from Bollywood movies and Indian cinemas. As I said earlier, it's cinema with good narratives. Any cinema with good narratives.
Mm-hmm. So here's a different question. What's your best tips for pitching?
Be short, be concise, and be confident.
Those are great tips. Be short, be confident, and be
Concise.
Concise. Be concise.
Atul, it was so good to have you today, and thank you so much for sharing all of the tips with us. Bye for now.
Bye bye.